Everybody, that's Dina. Welcome back to my channel. And today's project, as promised, is a vertical paper bag mini album. Now, I'm excited to do this project because this is going to be a Christmas gift, not this particular one, but I'm working on a Christmas gift for my youngest daughter, Emma, who is 15, excuse me, she just turned 15. And first, let me show you the album, and then I'll explain what I'm doing for her for Christmas. So here it is, and this measures, let's see, it's 9¼ inches tall. Let me get my measurements out here. 9¼ tall by 5¼ wide, and the spine is 2¾ and it's made up of 6 paper bags, just lunch bags. And they're placed vertically instead of horizontally. And on each page, we've added a flap. And so this flap's open like this. And then here's the bag pocket. And there's a tag in it. And then we also have a big, large tag that sits inside the bag. So this album has 6 pages. This is the one that I made. I made this last year for pictures of my 4 dogs, and I just have yet to put pictures in it. And on the inside back cover, we have a waterfall piece that we're going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside, and I'll show you what we're going to do for Emma. So when I made that album last year, I was still homeschooling Emma. And she's in high school now at the local high school. And I was teaching in our homeschool co-op a scrapbooking class. And she got in a whole, you know, how they do. She wanted to do cards. She wanted to do albums. She wanted to do all this stuff. So she wanted to make one of the albums that I had made, the vertical paper bag album. So what she did was she started it and she never finished it. And she wanted to do one in kind of the theme of home. And I had a paper collection that she wanted to use for it. And so she put all of her pages together and then never finished it. Didn't do the cover, didn't put, obviously there's no pictures in it. So what I'm gonna do for her for Christmas is I'm gonna finish her album and do the covers and everything and put it together, and then I'm gonna order a whole stack of pictures that I'm gonna wrap with a ribbon and put it in her package with her finished album so that she can have fun putting her photos in and journaling in it. So that will be one of her gifts. So this is the package that the album ended up in, and I just basically haven't even gone into it. So let's see where she was at. That way we can kind of start the tutorial. So let's see here. Okay, we have this bag that's got a bunch of stuff in it. And then this larger one. Okay, so she's got a page of cut aparts left, and she's got 1 print left. And she's got, oh, she used a lot of the stickers, but there's still a lot of them left. Okay, so let's set this aside. This other bag must have all of her pages in it. Okay, oh, look at here. She did just what I taught her to do. She saved every scrap. Okay, so we have all kinds of scraps from the paper collection. Let me see if I can find something that's got the name of the collection on it. It was by Echo Park. Oh, there's another cut apart. I don't see anything that's got, let's see, this one's got a little, maybe, oh, that's another cut apart. Maybe we'll run across some other cut aparts that have the name of the collection in it. But she did just like her mommy told her to do, and she saved every scrap. Okay, I can see part of it here. This was called I Love My Family. There we go. By Lori Whitlock. There's some more cut aparts. Okay, so here's all her scraps. This was a really cute collection. Okay, so we've got all of her paper scraps. I'm gonna put those up here. and out of the way for now. Okay, and here's her pages. What is all this stuff? Oh, okay, okay. I had planned on doing this for her at one time, so I already have the covers and spine done. Okay, so we'll go over this in a minute, so we don't have to do that. And here's all her pages that she put together. So this is super cute. Okay. All right, so let's start there because all her pages are done. So we just need to do the covers and actually put the album together. But this album actually starts with doing the pages. And we do those first before we do anything else. So what I've done here, let me grab my things. Okay, so what you're going to do, this is just regular lunch bag size paper bags, okay? Just the kind you can get at the Dollar Tree, just the regular lunch bag size. And what I've done is I've cut the bag down to 9 inches. So I cut the top off, I just laid it in my trimmer and I cut it at 9. So you're gonna wanna do that first. Okay, and then we wanna add the flap to the bag, okay? And I'm gonna do, I like to do my flaps in a different color because the cover I'm gonna make craft colored to match the bag. So I want my flap to be a different color just to kind of stand out. And you can see Emma did hers like in a cream colored. Her flap is like in a cream colored. And mine, I think I used red. Yeah, no, I used craft for mine, actually. So that's what it looks like when it's the same color as everything else. Emma used a contrasting color, and I really like how that looks too. So you can choose whether to do that either way. Okay, so let's cut the flap. Okay, so the flap is 8.5. So let's cut this to 8.5 by 5. Okay, and then we're going to score the flap. Grab my scoreboard. We're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Where's my scoring tool? There it is. Okay, and I've got this at 5, so it's easier just for me to score it at 4.5 than to reach over to that 1/2 inch section. Now I'm using my little mini scoreboard, and if the paper's too long like this is, I just simply move it up and then I grab that score line and finish it off. Okay. So let's go ahead and fold and burnish. Find my bone folder. Fold and burnish the score line. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to angle cut the corners just so we don't have any, we won't have overage because it's actually smaller than the bag, but I think it's easier to get in there and get it all glued in there. Okay, so here's our bag, and our flap, we're going to turn it over to where this little pocket is on the back side, and our flap is going to sit on the flat side. So what we're going to do is we're just going to glue this flap. We're going to put our glue not on the back side of the flap, but on the inside of the flap. So I'm just going to run through and I'm going to put glue right here on this inside flap. And centering the flap top to bottom, I'm going to slip it right underneath this flap. And I'm going to fold it over to make sure that it's in there. Okay, wipe off any excess glue. And what I want to do to give this a little character, you can see that Emma rounded her corners on mine, I used my stub punch right here. So either look of those, or you can just leave them plain. That's totally up to you. Okay, and since this is just our example, I'm just going to leave them, but go ahead and do any kind of decorative punch on the corners of your flap that you want, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to mat this section here, and I'm just going to give you measurements because I'm not going to finish this page because I don't have an album to put it in. So you're going to mat, let me take this out. You're going to mat this section here, and if you're using a regular lunchbox size one, like I did, the mat for the bag pocket measures 4 3/4 by 6, and that'll take you just past this little pocket because you don't need to go all the way down because this is going to glue shut right here. So 4 3/4 by 6, and so you'll mat that, and then you'll take your glue and just on either side of this pocket right here, you're just going to put a line of glue and you're going to close that pocket down. Okay? And then you'll mat and decorate the pocket here. Okay, and this, my mat for this section here was 3 inches tall by 4 3/4 wide. So that's the mat for this. And pretty much that's your page. You'll decorate your pocket, decorate your flap, and she did the same thing as I did. I'm trying to close my glue. I can't find my pen. Darn. And she did the same thing I did. I left these parts on my flap. I left them plain for pictures. Pictures, journaling, other decorations once you add pictures, things like that. So I left those plain, and what I did was I went through and I decorated the front of all my flaps. So here's what those look like. So all of the fronts of my flaps are completely decorated. I didn't leave room for pictures there because there's plenty of other places in the album for pictures and journaling. So my front flaps are all decorated. Okay, but you can choose again to do it however you want to do it. So you'll mat these areas, decorate this if you choose to, okay? And then let me give you the measurements of the little tag here that goes in this pocket. Okay, so that little tag, let's see. I've got all of these. Here we go. Pocket tag. This is 4 inches across by 6 1/4. Okay, and you'll need 6 of them, one for each pocket. And again, like I said in my last mini album video, when you go to mat, you just take your measurements of what it is that you're matting and decrease that measurement by 1/4 inch. And then if she like triple matted this, then you'll just go down 1/4 inch again. Okay, and make sure that if she used a decorative punch on all 4 corners, you'll want to use the same punch on any of your mats. Okay, so that's that measurement. So we've gone over the back of the page. We have our flap here with the insides, and the last thing for the page is the insert. Okay, and this is a nice size insert here. Okay, and the insert measures 4 1/2 by 9 1/4 tall. That makes this the exact size of the cover of our album. Hang on, my dog is like scratching the floor down here. Boss, stop that. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so again, this is 4 1/2 wide by 9 1/4 tall. Okay, and what I had instructed her to do, and I did the same thing on my inserts, was because this is so big, I chose to mat like about 2/3 of it with a pattern paper. She used a solid, And then I just have a paper pad that has different kinds of lined paper in it. And I chose to do the bottom third of it with lined paper. That way there's a little bit of journaling and it'll fit a 4x6 picture. And then the back is blank. So that's more journaling space, more photo space. So that's what goes inside. And this bag sides, these end up getting closed. And I've found that it's the front part of the bag that's unobstructed to get your tag all the way in. Okay. So that's pretty much the page build for this album. Okay. And so go ahead and do, just like Emma did here, do all 6 of them. And it looks like she's even got these in a really nice order. So I'll probably just leave the order just like this. Really cute. She did such a good job. Okay, so we'll take off from here. You've got all of your pages, all 6 of them done and decorated. So put those aside, and now we'll work on our covers. Wish I could find my pen. Let me get another pen for my glue. Okay, and it looks like I already had cut the covers and done and prepped them for her album at one point. So what this is, these are, it looks like I've got cereal box here. Yeah, a couple different cereal boxes. It looks like these are the covers to a paper pad, a 12x12 paper pad. This is also 12x12 paper pad. So what I've done is I've cut them, and I've cut 2 of each size. Well, actually 4 of the covers and 2 of the spine, and I glued them together so they make a nice thickness. And then once they're covered in paper, they'll be nice and sturdy. Okay, so your cover measurements are going to be 5 1/4 wide by 9 1/4 tall, and you'll need your front and back cover. And if you're using cereal box or any kind of packaging for oatmeal, anything like that you have in your pantry, use 2 layers and glue them together. Okay, so 5 1/4 wide by 9 1/4 tall, and our spine is 2 3/4 wide by 9 1/4 tall. Okay, so we have these, and I'm going to use craft colored paper again. Let me grab a couple of pieces of that. And I think 2 pages should do just about right. Yep, so 2 pages of 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to join these on the vertical edge just by putting a line of glue right on the edge. And then I'm going to lay this piece right in the glue, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to burnish those down. Okay, now we have a piece big enough. Let me grab my ruler here. I'm using my grid ruler again to help me line everything up. Oh, there was my pen over there. Okay, I'm using this to help me line everything up. So I'm just going to dry fit the spine. Always start with the spine. Let's see where this is going to fit vertically. Wow, that's a perfect fit. And again, we want the seam of our paper running down the middle of our spine. Again, I'm going to use tacky glue. I think it works really well. And a sponge brush. I don't like to use a sponge brush with my art glitter glue. I do not like to use this to attach my covers because I can't get glue everywhere because it just dries too fast. So I'm going to use my tacky glue and my foam brush. Okay. Put some glue on here. And then I'm going to use my foam brush to spread that glue everywhere so that we get edge-to-edge coverage with our glue. Okay. Now I'm going to place my ruler. I'm going to center my spine top to bottom with the seam running down the middle. And then I'm going to put my ruler up against it, making sure that my grid ruler matches the edge of my paper. And then I'm going to press my spine down. And I'm going to burnish the glue. Burnish it all over so that it makes contact everywhere. Remember, if you watched the last video, I had a problem with one of my covers lifting. It's because I didn't burnish it down. When I went and rewatched the video back, I was like, oh, no wonder it was lifting. I didn't burnish that side down. Okay, so make sure you burnish it well. All right, so again, we're going to be using an 1/8 of an inch gap. So basically, I'm just lining up. Let me make sure I'm in frame. Okay, lining up just the edge here. I want enough coming out of my ruler coming out on this edge so that I can lay my, so I can get a good straight lay down of my back cover here. So basically I'm just going to take and line up on my 4-inch mark here so that we can get our 1/8 of an inch gap. Okay, so putting glue on now my back cover. And spreading that out, making sure that I have edge-to-edge coverage of my glue. I want to make sure that every little piece has adhesive on it. Okay. So now I'm going to line this up. I've got this mark on my 4-inch, and I'm going to grab my 1/8 of an inch marker here, and I'm pressing it up against my straight edge to make sure that my cover lays completely straight. And once that kind of grabs a little, I'm going to start burnishing it down with my bone folder. Okay, let's do our front cover. We'll add glue. And spread that out with your foam brush. Now, if you don't have a foam brush and you have a paint brush, that'll work too. But you can get foam brushes pretty cheap anywhere. I think you can even get them at Dollar Tree. The foam brushes I've had for years because I take care to make sure to rinse them out real good every time I use them. So if you take care of them, they'll last you for quite some time. Okay, I'm going to put this ruler back. Again, I'm going to just pick a spot. I've lined it up on my 4-inch mark, and I'm going to take my cover, grab that 8-inch marker, so 3 7/8 is where my marker is. Now, it looks like I might not have my cover cut straight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of fiddle with it here. Doesn't look like my cut was very precise on my cover, but I'm just going to go with it. It'll be okay. Once the book is together, you'll hardly notice that. Okay, I'm going to burnish this down, making sure that it's making contact everywhere. All right. Okay. All right, so now we're going to miter our corners. I'm going to take a little bit of this off the edge here. We don't need this much hanging over. It's just going to make it easier to cover. Oops. Make it easier to miter those corners too. Okay, when you're mitering your corners, again, make sure you do not get too close to that chipboard, or you'll find that you can't cover it in the corner. We don't want that. Now, should you happen to get too close, you can always put book corners on it. You can take a marker to it. There's a lot of different things you can do should you make that mistake. Okay, I'm taking my bone folder and I'm gonna run it on the paper, butt it up against the chipboard. We're gonna train our paper to fold. So all the way around, I'm just gonna go right up against the chipboard and score my paper. Okay, and now that we've scored it, I'm just going to kind of fold it in. This is my part that's uneven right here, so I'm just going to be really careful with it. So I'm going to bone fold that down, and with each edge, you're just going to go ahead and fold it over and burnish it. Train that paper where you want it to go. Last side. Okay. Now starting with the long sides, we're going to glue them down. I'm going to put glue down, and then with my foam brush, I'm just going to spread that glue around. And I'm holding it up off my work surface so that I don't get glue everywhere. Okay, now I'm just gonna press that paper down. Since we've already trained it where we want it to go, it should lay down nicely. Okay, now we'll do the other long side. Spread that glue around and just lift it off your work surface. Okay. Take your bone folder and burnish it down. Make sure that it's making contact everywhere. All right. Now I'm going to go into my corners and I'm just going to tuck the paper. Just going to pinch in with my bone folder. So that I don't have any paper overhang when I go to fold this side over. Okay. Now let's add glue. And we'll get these last flaps glued down. And if you have glue that comes out, just wipe it off. I can never ever do something like this without having glue seep out, and see how nice our corners are. Okay, last side. Fold that over. Okay. Now, the one thing I forgot to tell you that I like to do in the last video that we did for the 6x6 mini album, once this part's done and you have the cover, what I like to do is take the edge of my bone folder and I like to run it across the edge, and I want to show you the difference in what that looks like. So just running it gently across the edge of the chipboard, and see how nice and flat that looks compared to that. I mean, you can totally see the difference. So go ahead and run your bone folder gently across the edge of your chipboard. Okay, see how rounded that looks? And because the glue is still wet and the paper's soft, it'll flatten right out for you. Just makes it look more professional. Makes it look more finished too. So flatten out the edges of your book. Just like that. All right. Okay. Now we want to go ahead and get our gaps prepared to be folded. So I'm starting with the top and bottom where I've got more than one layer of paper. And I'm just kind of pressing the edge of my bone folder in there. Then I'm going to take the tip of my bone folder and I'm going to run it across the edge of both sides of the chipboard, the spine and the cover. Okay, and then we'll gently fold that in. And if you do it that way, your paper won't break on you. See, that's a nice fold. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to do is we are not going to do we're not going to do the same hinge system that we did in our 6x6 album. I wanted to show you a different way because there's a couple different ways to make a hinge album. Okay, so we're going to do it a little bit different. And what I'm going to do is, let's see what size I need.